G'day, my name's Cannon Frogger and welcome back to Prison Architect. This episode is the end of this series. I will have to come back at some point and play on a map that doesn't require me to build on islands. For a few reasons, of which I will go into in a second. But we're going to start off with an overview on our prison, and we're just going to look over what we have built. We started here with medium security. I do believe that the thought process behind choosing medium security was that it was $500 a prisoner, and there were more prisoners available than the minimum security. Although obviously that changes depending on your prison demand. We started off with a few officers, some holding cells, a yard. Slowly expanded over here. Made ourselves some cells, solitary. Built ourselves a staff room somewhere. I think sort of like episode 6 or 5. And it's been pretty good. Like, we've been able to feed most of our prisoners for the most part. We expanded to our second island, where we built ourselves visitor centers, parole board, meeting rooms, an armory, kennel, little chapel, library. I remember forgetting to build the library and move the... Oh, what is that? Mail room? Yeah, move the mail room around. Moving on to our third and fifth island, we've kind of spread it out a little bit using a little bit of a bridge, but I think before we built this even, I think we'd gone and built our, I think, particularly the DLC is called Insane Asylum, but our mentally unstable ward, it's got a really interesting shape, split over the two islands with a bit of a long corridor serving as a sort of a bridge. And it's doing all right. We had a few teething issues at the start, I believe, from memory, where the yard wasn't exactly engaging enough. Look at this guy doing laps around those tables. But yep. Nope. We've had an escape. It's actually, is it the first or the second one that we've had so far? What's that? It's going to cost me $40,000. Never mind. But after expanding our medium security capacity, I do believe that we have, obviously going into maximum security, we got our very own legendary prisoner, who is currently suppressed and basically under permanent lock and key at this point. Well, we've had issues with prisoners building tunnels and trying to escape, and in a previous attempt at recording this episode, we had at least 6 to 7 deaths. But this has, for the most part, actually been a pretty good run in Prison Architect. Oh. So I could see myself recommending this game to people. I really could. There are a few exceptions, however. Stuff that I find that I have issues with. For a game that is technically finished and as old as this is, I do believe that the AI is not exactly built towards island maps. If only for the case that concrete walls don't seem to be as solid as they should. There are no doors, there are no windows, there are no escape points over here, and I'm fairly certain I just did a tunnel search, so there's no tunnels here either. And yet we have a dead prisoner, which means he's glitched through the wall and walked into the water and drowned. And this has happened on quite a few occasions throughout this entire playthrough, where I've had prisoners glitch through walls and get stuck. Or they have pretty well glitched the walls, tried to escape, and then drowned, which doesn't seem to serve as a deterrent either for any of the other prisoners. It's kind of like there's got to be a cooldown, at least I would assume, for this kind of thing, where prisoners see the effect that it has on their fellow inmates, and I don't want part of that. But no, stuff glitches through, and prisoners die. And all that jazz. And then don't even get me started on the guards. I don't really think it's happened on this playthrough, or at least not that I can remember, but on previous playthroughs or previous iterations that I have played of this game, I've had staff members do the exact same thing. They have glitched through the wall and gotten stuck or drowned or whatever it is. And so you look at your staff morale and it's tanking hard, and you're like, what is it? And it turns out it's just this one guy in a 1x1 room with no doors and windows who, he needs a loo break and he needs, food and this, that, and the other thing, and he's pissed. Like, he is right properly mad, and all because it's, he glitched through. I have issues as well with building queue priorities. Stuff that you would think would be easily accessible is not, for whatever reason. Like, I've seen them walk under that bridge before, but yet, no, not happening. And that one task is holding up a multitude of other things that the construction workers could do. Like, if there's a construction task that they can't get access to, then they won't be emptying any garbage bins, and they won't be emptying any recycling bins. So you got to do that yourself. It's a little unfortunate. But aside from that, like, I love the amount of customization that you're able to do with this as well. So I know I haven't really done any of that with this particular prison, but I had a few mods installed which I had planned on using or looking into. Like, I can just go through here and start placing down some flooring. Kind of like, it's like just a little bit directional. Or we can just, start just chucking some of this down. Come into here, throw this along through there like so. And in previous iterations of prisons, I have had an absolute blast doing exactly that, like laying out particular styles of cells. Like, we'll go for a metal floor with a grate at the door, that kind of thing. We're gonna see how that looks in a second, but I like how colorful this game is. And as much as the the glitching through walls is irritating, it is a minor irritant in regards to just how much stuff there is to do here. And I know that we built everything pretty quickly. And if I felt like going for any longer than we have already taken this series, I could probably do a little bit more with it. Maybe take my time, maybe do a little bit more sort of design work, maybe design my own cells, maybe work out some weird and wacky prison rooms, that kind of thing. But for what it is, this is a pretty decent game. I mean, look at it, see? Look at cell with all that, and they haven't quite yet put in. There we go. There's the grate. You can see that there. And like, we'll just quickly go back into the flooring again. Just grab some more stuff. Let's just run it like that one, and then run you, and that one there. Well, actually, no. No, it wouldn't be. It'd be that one there with that one heading out. See, look at that. A very vibrantly colorful game with lots and lots of options. And don't even get me started on the mod workshop. That's also pretty detailed. I love the grants. I love the detail that this goes into. Finance, all that kind of thing. The grants are actually in parts quite difficult to achieve. So there's a decent amount of challenge to this game. You gotta, balance your budget between cash inflow and cash outflow. And you can choose whether or not to acknowledge that your staff have needs, or whether they're mindless automata built purposely to, serve the prison and murder things. And we'll say in terms of money, there's probably other ways that I could better manage that by, selling and buying shares, moderating the pay of staff, maybe not having so many programs going all at once, taking out loans, maybe managing the nutritional policy a little bit better to try and keep my prisoners happy while also, keeping myself in the black there. And I mean, I tried at the start to try and, let's not research everything at once. Let's just do it as we need it. But it does start to snowball after a bit. I was just trying to think of stuff to say for this. And I had planned to do a rambly episode while also attempting to still do some stuff in the game. And I'm gonna be honest, the footage of the last attempt that I made at this was probably a little more interesting with the deaths and turning on free fire and watching guys try to escape only to drown or get shot, that kind of thing. But I think we've done a pretty good job overall. We've managed to get up to a relatively high security deployment, and yeah, there are a few extra bits and pieces that I could build, but at the end of the day, I'm not overly worried about that. It's pretty okay. If I'm being completely honest. It's pretty okay. From an actually pretty decent sized island at the start, I'm not gonna lie, to a couple of smaller ones where we've had to maybe expand them a little bit ourselves, and I think I've actually done a pretty good job with the landscaping. I give myself a pat on the back for that one. Some interesting shaped prison complexes. I mean, here is I kind of tried to follow on the same lines of that one. I'm still not entirely certain what happened with the bridges there. That is something that I'll have to read your comments about later on. But overall, I'm pretty happy with what I have built here. So I'll come back to this game. I know I will. I visited about probably once a year at this point since I got it. It's just something that I kind of happen to fall into on, an annual basis pretty much, and play it for a couple of months. And then, I won't touch it for a little bit, and then I'll come back to it, and then I won't touch it, and then it's one of those games that you always find something to do to it. You always have new ideas on how to do it differently or better, or just find other ways of enjoying the gameplay. But I think that's going to do it for me. And while I had intended for this to turn into a rambly episode, it was a little bit more incoherent than I'd like. But if you guys have any thoughts, feel free to leave them on the comments of the other episodes in this series. Do tell me what you think of, say, the bridges weren't working in whatever. I can't even remember what that episode was. What you think of some of the mods. In fact, let's bring those up, because I was using mods in this one as well. So we've got extras, mods, with the grants mod, which doesn't, the cache from that is not exactly, it's not broken. They're very minute amounts, just kind of there to keep you chugging along. There's a little bit of a push over the line there. Staff food profit was amusing, but I don't think really kind of lent itself all that much towards what we were doing here. I can't remember what the objects tweak mod was all about. Rubble and garbage remover is honestly indispensable, because your workmen get stuck in build queues, which they just can't cope with it. It's like over here I've got a piece of barbed wire which needs to go on this perimeter wall, and it's been failed 90 times because for whatever reason they can't reach it. And I know they've reached it because they built the wall to begin with while the bridge was there, and they haven't done it. And that'll hold up a whole bunch of other stuff. And when you've got enough of these little, failed no route job queues going along, they'll forget to do basic tasks like emptying garbage bins and emptying recycling bins, which I'll be honest, I actually haven't put any in this time round. So it seems, that's some fun stuff to do. As if we could bring up the recycling bin, because you do get a recycling grant in here, recycling incentive, where it takes advantage of the government going green initiative, awarding prison daily with $10 for each bag of recycling that's collected. So you can basically bombard your prison with recycling bins and try and make some cash off that. He is also going to drown because he glitched through the bridge. You can't put bridges next to each other, unfortunately, so the best way of doing this would probably, instead of a bridge, maybe do something like these stepping stones instead. Because then the guards will probably be able to get the prisoners rather than just running straight past them and ignoring them. Oh, look, another tunnel. Alrighty, let's do a medium security tunnel search. They'll find that one. But as that runs, that'll do it from me. If you like what you saw, you know what to do. My name's Cannon Fodder, this is Prison Architect. This is the final series of this particular run, and we'll be back, I don't know when. Next year? Or sooner? Who knows? But we'll try something a little bit different. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in whatever the next video happens to be.